George Herbert Walker Bush. Is the author of 2 new books about Barack Obama, including Barack Obama, the Postmodern Modern Coup, and another book about Obama called
Barack H. Obama, the Unauthorized Biography. I'm now a presidential biographer 2 times over. I tried to avoid the second time over, but I couldn't influence the course of events. BHO, the Unauthorized.
Did you bring any to sell? Do you have any to sell?
I have about 3 of them.
Oh, good. That's what we're talking about.
It's not a grenade.
No, sir. So we're going to hear from the most critical thinker first.
15, 20 minutes?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Tell me when I go over.
All right, great.
There's a calendar behind me. Now, I want to use this occasion. I thought it was important to come here, even though the roads were closed. And the subway was, I think, a dangerous game. I think it's imperative to create, as fast as possible, a left opposition to this new regime. And I'm going to try to motivate this, but I want you to understand where I'm coming from here. Because I have to be very critical of Obama, as I have been now for 1 year, since I figured out Obama. It was January 7th of last year, and I figured out what the operation was. I was a bit slow in the update, but after the Iowa caucus and before the New Hampshire primary, I figured it out, and since then I think I've been basically on the money. Let me start by saying what you did not hear today, what you did not hear in this speech, just to give you a meter to measure this against. If you had been here 76 years ago today, approximately 76 years ago this year, you would have heard that plenty is at our doorstep, but a generous use of it languishes in the very sight of supply. You would have heard that this is because the rulers of the exchange of mankind's goods have failed through their own stubbornness and through their own incompetence. They have admitted their failure, and they have abdicated. I'm thinking of Robert Rubin of Citibank. Practices of the unscrupulous money changers stand indicted in the court of public opinion, rejected by the hearts and minds of men. True, they have tried, but their efforts have been cast in the pattern of an outworn tradition. Faced by the failure of credit, they have proposed only more lending of more money. Stripped of the lure of profit, by which to induce our people to follow their false leadership, they have resorted to exhortations, pleading tearfully for restored confidence. They know only the rules of a generation of self-seekers. They have no vision, and when there is no vision, the people perish. And my favorite, personally, the money changers have fled from their high seats in the temple of our civilization. We no longer had a civilization at that moment dominated by bankers, financiers, and finance oligarchs. We may now restore the temple to the ancient truths. The measure of the restoration lies in the extent to which we apply social values more noble than monetary profit. And going on in this vein, 1 or 2 more. Our greatest primary task is to put people to work, to create jobs. In our progress towards a resumption of work, we require 2 safeguards against a return to the evils of the old order. There must be a strict supervision of all banking and credit and investment. There must be an end to speculation with other people's money, and there must be a provision for an adequate but sound currency. And then one last note. In the field of world policy, I would dedicate this nation to the policy of the good neighbor. The neighbor who resolutely respects himself, and because he does so, respects the rights of others. Now that was Franklin D. Roosevelt's first inaugural, and that is the opposite of what you heard today, in my view. Today we had a grim, somber, pessimistic speech, full of malaise. It was probably written by the same people who were writing Jimmy Carter, like Chris Matthews, James Fallows, and the other speechwriters for Carter. And of course, Zbigniew Brzezinski, the behind him on one shoulder, Paul Adolf Volcker behind him on the other. This is Jimmy Carter, number 2. And if you know what Jimmy Carter was, you know how horrendous that is. You've now got to ratchet up the horror about tenfold because of the depths and acuteness of the world situation. So, what I think is necessary is to recognize, first of all, that what you have right now is not the New Deal. This is the New Deal in reverse. The New Deal was what? Payments to individuals, the Social Security Act, an unemployment check if you're out of a job, a welfare check if you're destitute, a check if you're crippled and maimed and unable to work. That's the Social Security Act. A loan to get a house, a loan to start a business. That's the GI Bill of Rights. Something to stop foreclosures. We've heard nothing about this. We've heard the opposite of it. Right? There were even proposals last year that the Obama team decided that they did not like, with Austin Goolsbee of the University of Chicago and Skull and Bones making economic policy. So there's nothing like the Homeowners Loan Corporation. There's nothing like, above all, what we would need right now, federal relief. 2.6 million jobs lost, real unemployment approximately 20%. When Roosevelt took office, about 25%. Right now, in my estimation, 20%. The state of Michigan, 1 person out of every 8 is on food stamps. In the state of California, as of February 1st, 10 days from now, welfare checks will not go out. Now, I invite you to contemplate what that means. Welfare is gone. Welfare was destroyed by the last golden boy of the Democratic Party, Bill Clinton, to assure his second election. It's the worst thing he ever did. Welfare, as we knew it, which was a title of the Social Security Act of 1935, it's gone. Now there's something called TANF, Temporary Assistance to Needy Families. I assure you that to get on TANF, you have got to have 1 foot in the grave. If you're on TANF, you are hurting. You are in bad shape. Now, under the liberal Republican Schwarzenegger, allied to the Kennedy family, which is also behind the new regime, the state of California has said that they will not send out welfare checks as of February 1st. Now, that means that within 1 week, 10 days, 2 weeks, the first deaths will occur among the destitute, among the old, the sick, the women, the children, the defenseless, and so forth. Somehow their plight got lost today. I didn't hear a word about them in that speech. I didn't hear anything about Federal Emergency Relief Administration, which was the masterpiece of Harry Hopkins, right? The guy who had come from dealing with poverty and destitution in New York State. You don't have any of that. What we had last week was President-elect Obama had, of course, been the prime mover behind the approval of the first round of the bailout, the so-called TARP. And whenever I hear this, I feel like it's a personal insult to myself. Like they decided to do this in order to give me a hard time. This guy character on this right finger on my mailing list calls me the TARP. So, in order to get the first round, you remember the first round of the TARP was defeated in the House of Representatives by a combination of good old reactionary Republicans and some New Deal Democrats. The second time around, President-elect Obama called the Black Caucus and twisted arms to get them to vote for $350 billion for the Wall Street derivatives bubble that nobody could have ever gotten for WIC or Head Start or food stamps or unemployment benefits or any of the other things that were needed. And now last week he did it again. Whoops, he did it again. Even though the first round of the TARP has been a complete failure, we now have Obama for the second round of the TARP making a series of calls to various congressional leaders saying, don't make me use my veto. Don't embarrass me at the beginning of my wonderful new regime. We're going to have unicorns and rainbows and singing tomorrow, so you vote for the TARP. And that money was approved last week. And in the dead of night, $30 billion was given to Bank of America.